My God, it's been so long since we've seen the sun around here. I'm feeling blinded, and it was hacking it down earlier. So anyway, hi everyone. Erin Zen Warrior signing in. Like, follow, comment, do all the things. Some really good comments lately. There's so many things for me to go back to. It's like things move so fast. This conversation came up between me and a friend of mine in the States. Or rather, what we were doing, or what I was doing, was I was comparing Sadhguru and Osho together. And recently I found Sadhguru commenting on Osho because he was asked. And it was a really interesting and very politically well-phrased comment. And I think honest within that as well. It wasn't, I don't think it was the full picture. My feeling is these two would have been great friends. But so I was comparing the two charts and stuff like that. And then I was like, projectors are the only design that's all about the other. And, you say this shit all the time, right? And, yeah, the projector aura is the most selfless aura in the sense that it's turned outwards towards the other. But human beings are selfishly designed. We are self-centered beings. And when the projector is turned outwards, it's turned outwards for the success of the other. That's why it gets to feel successful, because the other's going to be successful. And it's a long game, A projector lock-in is 7 years. So if you have a projector in your life, you will be in a 7-year cycle with them. And there are some people that will be listening to this now realizing that I am locked into a prison with you. Right? I'm not getting rid of you in a hurry, because that's how it works. There's a locking mechanism there between generators and projectors. So projectors need to pick their generators wisely, of course, because we eat the energy of the other. We're deeply conditioned by the other, yada, yada, yada. It's our process. It's how it is. But also, you could say the opposite is also true. And that's always the case with human design. In essence, things do work both ways. Unfortunately, auras don't. The projector has the ability to see the other in the way that if the other is not a projector, the other will not see. The projector is the seer. But it does not mean that all projectors are the good guys. Like, it sounds nice, right? We're all turned out for the other. It's like, well, the projector still has its subjective viewpoint. The projector is still ultimately a human being, and we are self-centered. The projector is interested in you to feel its own success. And what does that mean? Well, you have to be successful for us to feel success. And you have to be successful through our guidance and our mutational qualities for us to feel success. It's still selfish. It's still about, whilst my focus is about you and it's on you, the way the mechanism is working, it still has a self-satisfaction or a self-success quality to it. It's locked into your success. You need to do well in order for us to do well. And if you think about it, as a projector, if you have generators around you, the richer they get, the richer you get. Like, that's actually how it works, right? Projectors don't make money without their generators making money. And so I quite often say projectors who are single, like myself, we don't really hold on to money because we don't have that energy source that's really good at generating it in a way. We can hold on to it once it's there. That's potentially true. But essentially, projectors are sort of this fluid field, and it really depends on what comes into that field, what they absorb, what they condition into, what they start kind of taking on. You come around people who are really good with money, yeah, you can become a really rich projector. You get a partner who's really good with money, you will become a rich projector. And I've definitely seen that in partnerships. To use a partnership that some of you may or may not like, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. Barack Obama is the projector. He's doing very well, and we can all see the force that she is. Whether you like them or don't like them, it's an interesting way to look at the electromagnetics. My two teachers, one projector, one generator. And I know for a fact that the projector dated a projector beforehand and they had no money, because projectors are not here to generate anything. Money is generated. We're not energy types. Money is congealed energy. Like, there is a reason that my projector friend who's jumped in the room, there is a reason that, projectors need generators. We're dead without you, really. Like, we're pointless without you too. But does that mean that the projector is the good guy? No, definitely not. A projector that does not recognize themselves in every way. And that's a process, right? And we sort of learn about that. We're all learning about that as we go on, no matter what type you are. A projector that does not recognize themselves is really dangerous, actually, because we are the most manipulative. We are in the other. There is no boundary. There's no keeping us out. Our aura goes in. And we know how to ask the right questions, and we can see you. So our ability to use that information for our own survival through our own fear mechanisms or childhood traumas, or pick an archetype, our ability to do that is better than most, People with willpower, yeah, they can be very manipulative too, but a projector is more clever, to be honest. Projector is perhaps, and yes, I know I'm a projector, so this sounds potentially arrogant to say, is potentially the cleverest design in a sense, and yet we can be so stupid. It's this or that, people. It's one or the other, right? And what I mean by that is, I know lots of very clever people of all different types. I know polymaths and things like that who are amazing manifesting generators, and incredible quad right beings who are not projectors. There's all different types of intelligence, but there's an understanding in a projector that is just, it's got depth. That's what our aura is designed for. And as a result, it gives us depth into system. It gives us the ability to take in more information. We're systems analysts. We're here for the nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty and all the bits and pieces. The generator isn't. It's more surface. It gets more done that way. The manifestor is here for its own impact. They're arguably very clever design, but even Ra said, the way manifestors led things was simplistic. The way a projector will lead is by guiding. That's not really leading, right? That's pointing people in the right direction and letting them have free will. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the manifestor was not about free will. They were about enslavement. That's much simpler in design. The reflector itself is a wisdom gatherer, but it does it by collecting snapshots. So over time, they become incredibly intelligent, does that make them a great manipulator? I have to think about that. Not like the projector, not in the same way. They are a non-energy type, so manipulation is handy for survival, right? So I definitely think that can be there, but the design shifts and changes so much. I think that I'd have to look at mental mechanics to determine how someone was manipulative from that type of design. But the projector, just in aura, what a manipulative little bastard we can be, So, and why would we be manipulative? Well, we have no energy. We don't generate money. We attract it, and we help people get successful, and they give us money. Like, that's kind of how it's meant to work. And so you can get manipulative around that because money is survival, right? We're all here to survive. We all have a body. How does a projector get beyond that? You go beyond. A projector that is correct will have gone through some sort of process, will have studied some kind of system that somewhat enlightened them. And that's why Sadhguru and Osho, both projectors, Wayne Dyer, projector, Abraham Hicks, and there are plenty of meditators also that are generators. Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, I'm referencing obviously, popular ones. Gurus, I believe the Dalai Lama is a generator. So there are plenty of generators out there that are also meditative. But it's interesting how many projectors are meditative, and that's because we need it. You got to do your work, projectors, because you are injecting your energy wherever you go. And when I say your energy, I mean your frequency, not your energy, because you don't have any. You're injecting your frequency wherever you go. You are in them. So you need to work on yourself. You need to meditate. You need to become self-aware in some way. And the problem for the projector there is they're not interested in themselves. They're interested in everybody else, And a projector that's too interested in itself is out of design generally as well. But I am interested in myself, fascinated, fascinated, but not fascinated enough that I learned my chart before I learned everybody else's. When I started reading human design, I went 1-3 emotional projector, quad right, excellent, move on, and then I've learned bits and pieces over the many years. I've gone back and I've restudied and I've done all that sort of stuff, and I've used my own chart to help develop out my understanding of things because of course I'm getting a subjective perspective, but ultimately I was not that interested in myself. I'm a projector. I was interested in what charts could do for everybody else. I was interested in what body work could do for everybody else. And yes, I experienced it myself. I had readings, I had body work done, I did all that stuff. It's a projector looking at their system. Why? Oh, I can help people. Why? Because I want to feel successful. How? By those people being successful. How long does success take? A lot fucking longer than satisfaction, I can tell you that. So, my projector friends, if you are not working with your frequency, if you are not studying what it is to bring a high vibe, to be on a high-flying disc, as fellow projector Abraham Hicks would say, or Esther Hicks channeling Abraham would say, if you are not raising your frequency, raising your awareness, you are dangerous, actually. You're a danger to yourself, and you are a danger to everyone you stand next to in the supermarket, because you are injecting into them everything that you are. And, in my process of comparing Sadhguru and Osho, my point with my friend actually was to point out how very fucking different they are, even though they're both projectors. One's emotional, one's splenic. One was his circuitry knitted together. Osho's circuitry knitted together is so amazing because of what he did. He's the shaman that slapped you to innocence and brought into question your behavior through insight, through intuition, how to behave intuitively well. And then that whole process was about letting go of the conditioning and purifying the conditioning that comes through the ancestral line. So really moving through and beyond childhood and ancestral trauma to self. That's what he was all about. And his whole system, he wrote that and he died. The last book that was transcribed from his talks, he said to my teacher for human design, he said, I think I've got it. I think he said it to a few people, but Chaitan was in the room. And he said, I think I've got it, basically. So really something to consider. Like his whole design was about that. And then his mental mechanics, which is where the split is in his chart, was an incredibly analytical channel that has this quality of really being able to pull apart people's stuff and find the holes in it. A channel that Jordan Peterson runs. So really, Sadhguru, when he talked about Osho, said he was really an incredibly clever man. And that, coming from Sadhguru, looking at the way his mental mechanics work, very clever man commenting on another very clever man, but an emotional projector, someone who's got to take time, someone who doesn't have intuitive nudge in the same way that Osho did, that whisper of this way. And when you're a meditator, you're going to hear those whispers. You're going to go with that spleen. You're going to do what you want all the time, every time, in the moment. Doesn't matter what the obligations are. Whereas Sadhguru is much more obliged because he's channel of community and he's sitting in that as his son. He's all about the role model to his community. 6'2", so that, like, you look at what he's done, you look at how Osho abandoned Indians. He was like sick of their righteousness towards enlightenment. They felt because they were Indian, they were more entitled to it, or at least that was part of the perception that was translated to me. And so he went actually more for white people, more for Westerners, more for not white people, but Westerners. And yeah, maybe you could argue he even went for the money. But who cares? You need money to lift up people. You need money to look after the poor as well. And he was famous for saying that. Let me look after your rich so I can look after your poor, because many religions look after the poor. So he was like, let me bring this, and he built no religion. He built a pathway. He built a mechanism, and his books are there. But Sadhguru, family aligned man, like it's all about community. And so he hugs into his Hindu people, what he comes from, and yet if you listen to his courses, he goes beyond religion with them. And I recently did one of his courses and he goes beyond religion with it. Do we feel suspicious of Sadhguru if we're not pro WEF and we're not pro, the UN and all those sort of things? Because it's a very divided world we live in now. I'm like, that channel of community is one of the channels that really has an ability to run a tribe fairly. And his whole mechanism is like, if you listen to his agendas that he has, and he's strategic, he's got leftness in the mind. He's very, very strategic man. He's got a plan. He's got a focus. He's here to purify the waterways. He's here to lift up the soil. Why? Well, to save it for community. Sure. I think that's absolutely a huge part of it. But also because, and again, listen to Sadhguru on this one. He understands that you are the earth. So he is actually interested more in your enlightenment through looking after the earth. That's what I think. Anyway, that's my interpretation of what he's saying. And, you know, when you've got big plans like collective economics, it's another one of his ideas, right? Why on earth would you be talking to the WEF? Because they have all the money, the World Economic Forum. You're going to take collective economics there. Do you agree with all the people in the room? That's not necessarily why he's there, is it? Like, you don't know. And that's the thing. You don't actually know what a guru is up to. And that's something I learned from years of hanging out with a guru and reflecting back on 9 years of my experience with a guru, is that there's still shit that I am just getting now. And I have inner vision. So hindsight's 20/20 for us, right? But that's something that, you know, 20 fucking years later, I'm going, oh, I'm such an idiot. You know, I didn't really get what he was saying in the moment. You never know what the master is doing. And partly I think is because they don't know either. You know, like understanding it from a mental construct is not what a guru is about, not what enlightenment is about. It's about moving intuitively. It's about using your design. And when we look at these two men who are both projectors, one emotional, one splenic, we see they are very much living out their designs, actually. And there are detriments in those charts, and there are things I think we can definitely see. An interesting detriment I saw in Osho's chart was in the gate of behavior. And it was, you know, a detriment around behavior in the line 3, experimenting with behavior, totally what he did with humans. It was all one big Gurdjieff experiment, right? But in detriment, maybe, and I haven't even read the line number on that gate 10, third line. Well, I'm a third line. Yeah, the martyr potentially, but also, we get our constructs of the great experiment with behavior, you know. We get our constructs of what all the personalities are out of that gate of behavior. So I'm just trying to relate it to my own third line and think about what that line 10, that gate 10, line 3 is going to be. But he's running that in detriment. So he's going to stick his hand in the fire big time. He's really going to make some mistakes around behavior and around the way he has tested behavior, because he's a projector. So he's turned outwards, testing behavior in other people. He had a massive ashram. 2-4, right, Osho? The natural networker. I am going to make friends and naturally dance lightly in my genius on this earth, and I'm going to retreat a lot. Detriment in gate 33, the gate of retreat, in the 6th line. I'm going to be on that fucking rooftop hiding out. I mean, Osho really was quite reclusive. Sadhguru on the other hand, he's a 6-2. His profile in and of itself is collective. It's a collective view. And interestingly, something I notice about 6-2s, they don't really like to come off the roof around 50, but they're meant to. And it's a personality, that 6th line, so they really have to choose to come back. But I notice and I've been around a lot of 6-2s in the last year, I notice with a lot of 6-2s, if they don't come off the roof, if they don't start coming back to us, things start fucking out for them. They get poor. They get, like if they don't start using that design back here with us, things don't really work right. So they really do need to come back to us. And that's my quadrite observation. And Sadhguru is, 50s, born in the 50s? So he's in his 70s, right? I mean, he's all out there in community. He's getting involved, and his ashram is massive, the money that must have gone into that. And someone once asked me, is he into spiritual business? And I'm like, spirituality is business. Ask Osho. That is what it is. And when someone asks you that, what they're really asking you is he corrupt? The question you should really be asking yourself around a guru, whether they are a real guru or not. And what I mean by that is whether they're a false guru or not, is, did you get enlightened? Did you get closer to your heart? Did you get transformed? Because this journey is about you. This journey is about what your mechanism guides you to. And if you are guided to a guru, look, I hate Eckhart Tolle, can't stand him. The resonance in my inner ear, and I have the 4323, I'm just like, ugh. People love that fucking book, The Power of Now. Men in particular love Eckhart Tolle. Particularly my generation, they have struggled so much and they reread and reread and reread that frickin' book. I'm like, to me, he's a Weet-Bix packet. He's regurgitation. And that doesn't mean he hasn't done some of the work. It just, to me, the resonance is still missing there. But Sadhguru, I have resonance with him. Abraham Hicks, total resonance. Love that woman. Wayne Dyer, resonance. 4323 is those ones, including Sadhguru, right? The inner ear. Osho, oh my God, my heart. And to watch him on camera. I mean, can you not see it? Can you not see how he's so clear into someone? Sadhguru too does the same thing. They're so clear into someone. That's a projector on tilt, man. That is power. And we're all here for power. And I do not mean that in the ugly way it gets interpreted. And half the reason that we are all fucked is because we're all leaking our power. And so when you look at someone who is Bruce Lee light power, right? Who is a warrior, in whatever way they're mechanized to do it, not our place to judge. There's something to be learned. In the words of Ido Portal, when you meet a great teacher, learn what they have to teach you. If they're a great violinist, learn the fucking violin. If they're a great mover, learn how to move. If they're a great ballerina, learn how to do that. And the funny thing is in my life, I've been geared towards health. That's my mechanism. It's very much about health intuition. I met so many masters, body workers. My own guru, who came from Osho, was a medical intuitive, was a master in so many things. And that was the beginning of my tour, I sit and I listen to people like Carolyn Mace because she's one of the best medical intuitives that has ever graced this planet. I listen to Abraham Hicks because she's the ultimate hope motivator, and that's what I do. These people enlighten me every day. I saturate myself in them. Why? Because my frequency matters. And my frequency matters not just for me, but because when I stand next to someone in the supermarket, I am in them. I am mutating them. And so I have a radical responsibility of self. And that's why I did Sadhguru's course on the weekend, and now I need to go and practice. So please comment, do all the things. Super long one. I got on a roll. Some cool projectors in the room and a lovely generator there I see as well. Nice to see you all. Like, comment wherever you're seeing this. Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. And please invite me to conversation. I love it. I'm having a great time out here. It's really nice to see the sun after so much rain here in Auckland, New Zealand. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Nice to see you, Ellen, by the way. Been a while.